Welcome to The Score. My name is Wiley Baker. I'm your host. And as a reminder, The Score is a sports show here on AACPS TV and the YouTube channel where Athletes in Action focuses on a specific sports team in Anne Arundel County. The Score zeroes in on an important individual in the life of AACPS athletics. And today, we certainly have one such individual. I would like to introduce to you my good friend Séamus Laraway. Séamus, good to meet you, sir. Or good to see you, I should say. We met a long time ago.
Yeah, we've met a couple of times.
Séamus from Annapolis High School, right around the corner from us here. He's the public address announcer, but also a teacher at Annapolis High School. And Séamus, talk to us a little bit about you. Where did you grow up? Tell us about Séamus Laraway.
Sure, yeah. So I was actually born in Spain. My dad was a Navy guy, so I was born over in Rota while he was there. I came over when I was about a year and a half old. I like to tell people that I actually stepped foot in America before my mom because I got off the plane first, and she's from Ireland. So, but yeah, so we were in Fort Meade for a couple of years. My dad got out of the Navy, so we moved up to Anne Arundel County. And that's basically where I grew up. I went to Old Mill High School. I was a Patriot. College after that at Salisbury and then Texas Tech. And after a couple of years, just decided that I missed Maryland and wanted to come on back and set roots down in Anne Arundel County. And here I am, like 12 years later.
Old Mill Patriot. There we go.
Yes, sir.
My fellow Old Mill Patriot. I tried to wear maroon, white, and royal blue, so a little red, white, and blue here. The colors coordinate. So growing up at Old Mill, what got you interested in education?
Ooh, that's a big question. So I actually tutored since I was in like 7th grade, since I was like 11 or 12. And I was always good at math. So I was the kid that they would ask to help this kid, help that kid, whatever. And then I did it after school and stuff like that. It wasn't really until about junior year of college when I was in the tutoring center tutoring. And I just had this epiphany one day of, I'm having a great time. Like, this is awesome. I'm loving, the feeling I get getting a kid to understand what's going on for something complicated. And I feel like math has the special gift of everybody thinks it's crazy hard. So when somebody really understands it, they get this light inside of them and they're happy. And so to see that and be able to make that happen. And then from that point on, from junior year of college, I was like, okay, this is what I need to be doing. I'm good at it. I need to share my gift.
And math and sports definitely mesh. Talk about how long have you been teaching at Annapolis?
This is my 9th year, I believe, and it's the only high school job I've had. So when I was at Texas Tech for grad school, I taught for a couple of years there as a way to like make money for the, for tuition and everything. But yeah, Annapolis is where I started and where I'm still at.
And now the voice of Annapolis High School, should we say, by meshing that math with the athletics?
Oh, yeah.
Talk about what you do at Annapolis. Obviously, I've seen you a lot there. Other folks have as well. Sure. Tell us all about Séamus Laraway at Annapolis High School Athletics.
I do a lot. Do we have time?
No, we do. We do.
Yeah, so in the fall, I do all the announcing for soccer, field hockey, and football. I do the clock and scoreboard as well for soccer and field hockey. Then in the winter, I move over to basketball. And do the shot clock, the game clock, the scoreboard, all that stuff. And then in the spring, I do all that stuff for lacrosse, for boys and girls lacrosse.
So I have to ask you, what's your favorite? Can you put them in a pecking order?
It depends on what aspect. I really enjoy announcing football because there's a lot going on, right? I love watching soccer. It's one of my favorite sports to watch, even when I'm just at home, watching the Premier League or World Cup or whatever. But there's not a lot for an announcer to do because we're not doing play-by-play, right? It's just more of goal, and then that's that. But football, it's every play. It's saying something, announcing something. I also really love doing the scoreboard and the clock for basketball because, again, it's quick, it's constant. There's always something going on, and I get the best seat in the house. I'm right there at mid-court, so it's great.
Talk about how you do all of those at one time. I mean, doing public address announcing is enough. Sometimes you do multiple tasks at a basketball game or at a sporting event at Annapolis High School. I know that has to take a lot of pressure off the AD, Pete Alvanos, obviously. Yes. So talk about, how do you do that? How can you mesh that all together?
I don't really think about it, I just kind of do it. I've always been kind of good with hand-eye stuff, so I don't know, I know sports because I grew up playing sports. I grew up watching sports, so I didn't really have to learn rules or when to do this, when to do that. It was really just kind of put me in front of it, let me learn how to do the machine, and then off I go.
And of course, when you do your events, you still have your teaching duties. You have to do maybe duties before and after the day, lesson plans, grading. Dare I ask how you get all of that in and get to eat and sleep?
Yes. Yeah, so it can be a lot, but it's really just about using the time I have. And that's one thing that I try to teach to my students is, okay, you're busy, there's a lot going on, but use that downtime, right? So when I have planning, I'm getting the max out of my planning that I can. Sometimes I have to work on the weekend, but I try not to as much as possible. And then games don't start right after school, right? So I also get an hour to an hour and a half after school where if I need to, I can get my work done there. But I try to stay on top of stuff as much as possible. My students tell me that I'm one of the quickest graders they have because if they take a test that day, it's graded that day. So they can get it at the end of the day, they can get it from me the next day. So as much as I can, I just try to stay on top of things. Now, there are times when things are crazy and, you know, I maybe get a little bit behind and there's days where I'm like, man, I really wish there wasn't a game tonight because I could use the rest or whatever. But when I'm actually there, it's just so much fun that I'm not tired when I'm doing it, right? It's tired after, but it's not tired during because I'm involved and it's fun and I really enjoy it.
Next semester, I'm signing up for Mr. Laraway's math class.
Please come on in. I'll teach you.
Here was Séamus Laraway of Annapolis High School. He does so much. He's a math teacher. He does the public address announcing. He does the timing and the scorekeeping and much, much more. And I'm going to retract just a little bit. What is your favorite sport in general? And did you grow up playing sports?
I did. My main sports were baseball and basketball. I tried soccer for a year. It just wasn't for me. I was never a football kid. Although I'm a bigger guy, I don't know, the idea of hitting someone never appealed to me. So I really loved baseball and basketball. And there was one year where my dad was like, look, if you really want to get into baseball, then we can do this year round. You got to give up basketball. So yeah, go for it. Baseball is my number one all time. Unfortunately, I threw my arm out when I was about 13 and a half. So like right before high school. So I never really got to see what I was made of. I was good though. I was good as a 13-year-old. But yeah, I never got to test to that, but baseball has always been my number one. Even since then, like I coached JV baseball at Annapolis for 5 years, up until about 2 years ago. And now I'm an umpire. So I umpire some of the high school games and some of the local rec games, and anything that I can do with baseball, I'm in it. Unfortunately,
he does it all, folks. He does it all.
Unfortunately, there's no announcing for baseball, so I can't do anything for that, but
what are some of your favorite memories, let's say with Annapolis High School, with your announcing, regardless of the sport? I know that the sports history is deep at Annapolis.
Yes. Yeah, and we've had some really good teams over the last few years. I mean, our basketball team this year, especially our girls are 9-2. They're phenomenal. And they've been winless for 3 or 4 years. So the fact that they're 9-2 this year is absolutely amazing. So one, just watching them, watching their growth. Some of the seniors, like they had tears in their eyes after winning a game because they hadn't done it. So seeing that was amazing. As far as some of the announcing stuff, I remember one goal specifically, I think it was last year, not this year, for soccer, that it was just back and forth the whole game. It was getting a little chippy, but it was, sportsman. Annapolis scored a goal in extra time to win it, and I did the old goal, held on to it, and just kind of like got into it. I was so happy yelling into the microphone, and even some of the kids came up to me later and were like, that was fantastic, that was amazingly, way to go. This year, one of the girls' games, so part of my job in the stadiums, if it's not a football game, is I'm supposed to play the national anthem on my phone, hooked up to the sound system. Well, one night the song wouldn't play for whatever reason. It just wouldn't come out of the system. So I'm sitting up there, everybody's on the field looking around, waiting, they're looking at the flag, and people are standing and they're just waiting for the national anthem, and I couldn't get it to play. So I looked around and I just thought, I got to do this. And so I held the button and I just started singing the national anthem.
Great.
And I am not a singer. And this is my students that were on the field just started laughing. Like one almost fell over. She was laughing so hard. And there were kids up at the field hockey field that, came up to me and they were like, were you singing the national anthem? Yeah. So people still say stuff to me about that every once in a while. Just, it's something I had to do. So
AGT becomes now Annapolis Has Got Talent.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm winning that one.
Wow, that's classic. What a classic moment for sure. We've talked about the history of sports at Annapolis High School. It is really, really deep there. How cool is it to be at Annapolis High School, being a teacher, doing all the different things you're doing with Annapolis High School athletics, the history? You're right next to the swim center, which is the premier swim center in the county, maybe even in the state. You're right next to the tennis courts where the tennis championships are. It has to be super special to be down in Panther country.
It is. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, everything about Annapolis, whether it's the sports or just being in the building day by day, like there's always amazing things going on. And I heard once, I don't know if it's accurate or not, but I heard the fields at Annapolis High School are like the most used fields in the county. So there's always something going on. Sometimes it's the little kids, sometimes it's the high school kids, but it's amazing. You know, you walk through the halls and near the gym, there's just a bunch of trophies and autographs. And, you know, there's a ball from Bill Belichick because he graduated from Annapolis High School. And there's a lot of history of the banners hanging in the gym, and I get to be a part of it, you know, for hopefully a long time.
Well, as we wrap up our interview, all the different things we've talked about at Annapolis High School, believe it or not, Séamus Laraway has a podcast. So talk to me about the podcast that you host, and when we're not seeing you at Annapolis High School, we can hear you on this podcast.
Sure. Yeah. So one of the things we have to do as a teacher is work a group. So another teacher and I, Sebastian Serrano, and I decided last year that we would try to start up some sort of sports podcast, get the kids talking about the different sports around, and, you know, keep parents that maybe can't come to the games educated about what's going on. And it's been a struggle, you know, but this year it really kind of kicked up, and we got quite a few episodes out there, recapping scores, interviewing the other students. They really enjoy that. The student athletes enjoy getting interviewed by the students. It's on Spotify. If anybody really wants to see it, they can go to Spotify, just type in The Den. That's the name. There is a lot of The Dens on Spotify, so do The Den and then start typing Annapolis and it'll pop up, picture of the Panther. And we've got quite a few episodes. We did one on the Special Olympics because we have such a great Special Olympics type sports program at Annapolis High School. We did one where what sport should come to Annapolis High School that's not there right now, and one kid was like boxing, chess, and so he explained that. It was great. We just did an interview with three of the girls on varsity girls basketball, and the things they were saying were really insightful about the team, and again, they were really into it, and it's been cool seeing it take off from what it was to what it is now. Yeah.
Wow. Well, Séamus, I thank you for being with me today.
Thank you.
My goodness, again, if you don't talk to Séamus at Annapolis High School, and I encourage you to get there, he does a tremendous job doing the public address announcing. Catch him on the podcast called The Den, and go for Annapolis High School if you can't find it just under The Den. Séamus Laraway, thank you so much for taking the time, my friend, an Oldville Patriot grad like I, and at Annapolis High School as a teacher, and also as the public address announcer, timer, and scorekeeper. Again, thanks to Séamus Laraway. I want to thank my great staff here at AACPS TV. And of course, I want to thank you for listening. The entire Annapolis High community, shout out to you as well. In honor and memory of my mom, Dee Baker, I'm Wiley Baker. I'll talk to you on the court, on the field, or on the air, and with another edition of The Score, right here on Anne Arundel County Public Schools Television and YouTube channel.